The 8R 410 rolls off the Waterloo line with a sticker that can crowd $300,000 before you bolt on a single attachment. For a long time, that number made sense to row crop guys who'd been running green since their granddad bought a 4,020 inches, 1,965. John Deere, founded 1,837 inches, Grand Detour, Illinois. Didn't get to be the default by accident. The hydraulics are good, the cab is quiet, the auto-track line, the Starfire receivers, the C spray rigs coming out of the Blue River acquisition back in 2017, that stuff works in the field. Any corn farmer in Iowa or Illinois who tells you different is lying to himself. Deere earned the loyalty, but something cracked. Walk into a farm sale this fall in central Nebraska or western Minnesota and watch what hits the block first. A clean 7,810 from the late 1990s, mechanical injection, no def, no emission stack, no payload screen asking for a software handshake that tractor is pulling money it had no business pulling 5 years ago. Meckham, Almond, the regional sales out of Steff's, the pre-emissions iron is climbing. The late model stuff with the locked ECM sits longer than it should. That isn't sentiment. That's a market signal. The farmer running the bid card knows exactly what he's voting against. He's voting against the fatal flaw. He can't fix his own tractor anymore. That's the thing the corn and bean operator from Story County or Champaign County figured out somewhere between planting 2020 and harvest 2023. A modern Deere will throw a code, and the code will derate the engine. The derate will not clear without a service AD visor laptop running an authorized payload that the dealer in Cedar Rapids or Bloomington controls. The part might be in the shed. The wrench might be in his hand. The skill is absolutely there. This is a guy who rebuilt a 466 inches a dirt floor shop one winter, and none of it matters. The tractor's brain says no until a tech in a company polo plugs in and says yes. In January 2023, the American Farm Bureau Federation signed a memorandum of understanding with John Deere meant to address this. Right to repair on paper. Farmers in every Farm Bureau hall from Texas to North Dakota read the language and notice what wasn't in it. No binding enforcement, no requirement to release the same diagnostic tools the dealer uses. A handshake. In early 2024, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, sued Deere in the Northern District of Illinois over repair restrictions, joined by the Attorneys General of Illinois and Minnesota. That case is live. Deere has denied the allegations, but the filing itself told every operator what he already suspected. This wasn't paranoia, this was policy. So what does the operator actually do? He buys older. He buys Kubota's M8 series, built through a partnership announced with Buhler back in 2019, assembled in Winnipeg. At 210 PTO horsepower, it covers a lot of ground and the electronics don't lock him out of his own machine. He looks harder at versatile, still building in Winnipeg since 1966, mechanical and honest. The kind of four-wheel drive that a guy in the Red River Valley can actually open up and work on. He looks at Fend, the Vario transmissions out of Marktoberdorf in Bavaria, AGCO's premium line. Yes, AGCO has its own software headaches, nobody's pretending otherwise, but the perception among a lot of operators is that the lockout culture isn't as aggressive. New Holland and Case, both under CNH out of Basildon and Racine, are catching some of the runoff too. Even the gray market Belarus stuff moves at auction now, which tells you how far some guys are willing to go to own the iron they paid for. And the used market is where the verdict actually shows up. A 199888400 with 12,000 hours, clean original paint, faded to chalk, sells for money that would have been laughable in 2015. An 8,430 from 2008, the last of the pre-final tier 4 stuff before the worst of the emissions. Telematics overlay came down, those are getting hunted. Farmers are voting with the checkbook for tractors they can actually keep running themselves at 3 inches the morning during a planting window that won't wait for a service truck out of the dealership 90 miles away, because that's the part the boardroom in Moline never seems to feel in the body. It's 11:47 at night, the radar shows a line coming through by dawn. The operator has maybe 6 hours to finish a field before 2 inches of rain shuts him down for a week. The tractor throws a DEF quality code. He knows the sensor. He has a sensor. The sensor is $22 and 4 bolts. but the ECM won't accept the new sensor as installed without a payload file, and the dealer's after-hours line goes to voicemail until 7 a.m. He sits in the cab, the Cummins built, or Deere built engine idling, the cab fan running, the yard light buzzing 200 yards off, and he watches the radar move east on his phone. He's not tired in his back. He's tired somewhere else. He's tired of being told he doesn't own what he owns. That's the feeling. That's the thing the ad campaigns can't reach. A row crop guy in his 50S who has run green his entire adult life, who has a shed with 3 generations of 2 cylinders, a 4,440 his dad bought new. That guy doesn't switch colors because of a price spread or a brochure. He switches because of that night in November when the rain was coming and the tractor told him no. He switches once. He tells 4 neighbors. 2 of them switch the next trade cycle. And the local Deere dealer, who was often a good man running a business he inherited, takes the hit for a decision made in a building he's never set foot in. The dealers know it. Talk to anyone who's been on the floor at a Deere store in farm country for the last decade, you'll hear the same thing in different words. They're caught. The corporate licensing structure determines what software they can hand out, what tools they can sell to a customer, what training they can pass along. The dealer principal in a town of 3,000 can't override a policy written in Moline or, increasingly, in the legal department that's been reshaping the service economics around recurring revenue, precision ag subscriptions, JD Link renewals, per acre fees on the See and Spray functionality. The tractor's no longer just a tractor, it's a platform with a monthly bill attached, and the bill comes due whether the crop did or not. That's the systemic piece. That's the room where the decision actually got made. Somewhere around the mid-2010s, Deere's leadership made a strategic pivot that was perfectly logical on a spreadsheet. Hardware margins are flat, software margins compound, lock the customer into the ecosystem, monetize the data, tie the diagnostics to authorized service, and the lifetime value of every unit sold goes up by a multiple. Wall Street loved it, the stock loved it. The 2022 and 2023 earnings calls leaned into the precision ag story hard, and the executives talked about technology stacks, connected acres in language that would have made a 1970s Deere engineer reach for a wrench. The problem is that the customer they were optimizing against isn't a customer in the consumer software sense. He's a producer, he has a window, he has weather, he has a banker in Des Moines or Bloomington who needs the crop in the bin by a date that doesn't move. A tractor that won't run because of a software permission is not an inconvenience to him, it's a threat to the operation. The Detroit Auto Playbook of subscription features and lock diagnostics does not survive contact with a 1-4-day harvest window in a wet fall. The class action started piling up. A consolidated antitrust case is moving through the Northern District of Illinois, brought by farmers alleging Deere. Its dealers conspired to monopolize the repair market for Deere equipment with onboard diagnostics. Deere has denied the claims and is contesting the case. But the discovery has already produced internal documents that the farm press has been chewing on. The optics in a Midwestern jury pool are not going to be friendly to a company whose policies kept a 5th-generation operator from fixing his own tractor before a storm. Colorado passed an agricultural right to repair law in 2023, the first state in the country to do it. Other states are watching. The European Union has its own framework moving. None of this is going away, and none of it can be papered over with another memorandum of understanding that doesn't bind anybody to anything. Meanwhile, in Waterloo and Moline, the assembly lines are still running, and the 9 RX series is still an extraordinary piece of engineering. The new S7 combine that came out for model year 2024, by most accounts from the guys who've run them, a genuinely better machine than what it replaced. Deere is not building bad iron. Anybody who tells you Deere's building bad iron is not being honest about the engineering. The flaw isn't in the steel or the hydraulics or the cab. The flaw is in the contract that comes with the key, and that contract is what the row crop operator is rejecting. He'll keep his 4,440 inches the back shed, the one his dad bought, the one he's rebuilt twice. He'll bid on the clean 8,430 at the Steph sale next March. He'll take a hard look at a Fend 1050 the next time he needs primary tillage horsepower, and he'll call the Kubota dealer about an M8 for the loader tractor slot. He may still buy green for the combine because the resale and the dealer network and the parts depth at Davenport still matter. But the all-green farm, the operation where every piece of iron in the lineup wears a leaping Deere that's getting rarer in the row crop belt. Every operator who's made the partial switch can tell you the exact night he decided. Deere will adjust, they always have. The company has survived 1,837, the Great Depression, the 1980s farm crisis that gutted half their dealer network, the entire pivot to four-wheel drive articulated power. They'll survive this too, and probably the adjustment will look like a quiet loosening of the diagnostic lockouts, a repricing of the subscription stack, a settlement somewhere that lets everybody save face. The brand has too much equity in the soil of this country to fold over a software fight, but the lesson is already in the auction prices. A farmer will pay a premium for a tractor he can actually own. He will pay it in cash, at a sale, in a cold barn in February. He will drive that 3-0-year-old machine home behind a pickup and feel something the new lot never gave him. If you run row crop, if you've sat in that cab at midnight with the radar moving and the code on the screen, hit subscribe and stick around. The next one's for the operators who already made the call. Because the conversation isn't ending, it's just shifting. Walk any farm show floor in 2024, the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa last August, the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville in February, and you can hear it in the aisles, operators standing next to the green iron, arms crossed, talking past the salesman to each other 40 years ago. That conversation was about horsepower curves and hydraulic flow. Now it's about who owns the diagnostic port and what happens when the satellite link drops out in the middle of a 16-hour day. The questions have changed because the machines have changed, and Deere's marketing department is still selling a 1,985 Dream to a 2,024 customer. Consider the numbers that don't make the glossy brochures. The Memorandum of Understanding that Deere signed with the American Farm Bureau Federation in January of 2023 was supposed to settle the right to repair fight. It promised farmers access to diagnostic tools, manuals, and parts at fair and reasonable terms. 18 months later, the Federal Trade Commission filed suit anyway in January 2025, alleging that Deere had unlawfully restricted repair options, forced farmers into authorized dealers for work they could have done in their own shop. The complaint laid out specific delays, combines down for 10 days at harvest, waiting on a technician, repair bills that ran $4,000 and $5,000 for what an independent mechanic could have closed out for $800. Every one of those numbers is somebody's actual September, somebody's actual yield loss, somebody's actual conversation with the banker in October. The counter argument deserves a hearing. Deere will tell you, and their engineers genuinely believe this, that the locked software protects emissions compliance under Tier 4 final regulations. That an untrained hand inside a common rail injection system can turn a $15,000 repair into a $60,000 engine replacement, that the telematics data flowing back to Moline is what makes precision agriculture work in the first place. There is truth in all of that. A modern 9R series tractor running RTK guidance to sub-inch accuracy is not a 4020 with a radio, and pretending otherwise is its own kind of nostalgia. The complexity is real. The question is who pays for it and who controls it, and that question is being answered slowly by the cattle trailers pulling out of consignment auctions in Lexington, Nebraska, and Morton, Illinois, and Sunbury, Ohio. A 1995840 with 12,000 hours sold this spring in central Iowa for $92,000 more than its original sticker price, adjusted for nothing, just raw nominal dollars, 30 years after it rolled off the Waterloo line. That number is a verdict. The market is telling Deere something the boardroom in Moline hasn't fully processed yet, and the operators delivering the message aren't shouting, they're just bidding.